left, left.
Window.
Keep it in step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up time. Up.
Left, right. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Left. Left turn. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left, 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 right, left, right.
And just watch
Left,
the course
right.
on the ground.
I have no idea where we're going to put it. Left, 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 right.
About us.
don't do something.
Let me tell you, I had everything loaded.
My name is Aaron Robb, and I reside here in Dalton with my wife Lynn and my 3 children. I also have the privilege of being principal at Wacona Regional High School. It's my distinct honor to serve as Master of Ceremonies this morning. This ceremony is intended to remember and honor all Americans that made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the armed forces of the United States, as well as those who have served or are currently serving. We dedicate today to the citizens of Dalton who gave their life in service to our country. Today's ceremony will begin with an invocation. Today's invocation will be given by Father Christopher Malatesta of the St. Agnes Church. Good morning. Let us bow our heads and pray. Good and gracious God, we gather in remembrance and thankfulness of the men and women of our nation who have paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Before picnics and barbecues, help us to remember and honor these heroes who walk before us, sacrifice so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we celebrate. From the very beginning of our country to world wars to the Middle East, our military men and women have defended freedom for other Americans they don't even know or would ever have met. These heroes have paid a price that can never be repaid. Only grateful hearts and prayer can express our thanks. For so many comrades and families, this is a somber day. It is a day to remember and reflect on what loved ones lost. A country, while still occupied in many conflicts, pray for protection of those constant in danger. Let us pray for peace in our world so that we can live in security and comfort. Let us know a time when parents won't have to grieve the loss of their children and our families will not have to endure the absence of their loved ones because of their service to our country. Let us never forget. Let this prayer today inspire us. Amen. Thank you, Father Chris. The national anthem today will be performed by the Nessicus Regional Middle School Band under the direction of Andrew Garcia. Thank you, Nessicus Band. Robert Dassett, commander of the Dalton American Legion, Post 155, will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commander Dassett. Before we move on with today's ceremony, I'd like to take a moment to introduce everyone up here on this monument. In addition to Father Chris and Commander Dassett, I'm honored to introduce our town select board members. In attendance today are John Boyle, Robert Bishop, and Dan Esco. Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce our town manager, Mr. Tom Hutchinson. And we're also happy to have our state senator, Paul Mark, here with us again. Thank you, Senator Mark. It is also my privilege to introduce our student speakers today. They're Aiden Garcia and Elena Iavino. Once again, we are fortunate to have wreath bearers here to participate in the ceremony. The wreath bearers are directed by Boy Scouts Troop 4 and Cub Scout Pack 42 leader Tim Crocker. Placing the wreaths today are Owen Crocker, Alex McCaslin, Joan Rennie, Evan Niance, and Camden Jones. Thank you very much, Troop 4 and Pack 42. Part of our program this morning includes the Prisoner of War Missing in Action ceremony. All 5 branches of the military use the same ceremony that we will observe in just a moment. The ceremony will be performed by Peter Morrissey, who is a Navy veteran and member of the Dalton American Legion Post 155. The reading of Dalton's military personnel who made the supreme sacrifice will be read by Commander Dassett and assisted by Peter Morrissey, which will be followed by the traditional rifle salute carried out by the American Legion Firing Squad, accompanied by taps performed by Grace Hunt and Eve Dowling.
Those who served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. Before we begin our activities, we pause to recognize our POWs and MIAs, over 138,000 since World War I. This is in remembrance of all the POWs and MIAs who have served their country to know that they are never forgotten. We call your attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families. So we join together to pay humble tribute to them and to bear witness to their continued absence. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner, alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while awaiting their return. The yellow ribbon on the vase represents the ribbons worn on the lapels of the thousands who demand with unyielding determination a proper account of our comrades who are not among us. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to open arms of a grateful nation. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. All of you who served with them and call them comrades, you who depend on their might and aid and relied upon them, do not forsake them. Pray for them and remember them. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families.
To all involved in that ceremony, our sincere thanks for that tribute. We have two fabulous student speakers here with us this morning. Our first student speaker is Aiden Garcia. Aiden is the son of Andrew and Sue Garcia, and he's a senior at Wacona. Aiden's a captain of both the Nordic ski and cross-country running teams, was a student representative to our Central Berkshire Regional School Committee for 2 years, has represented Wacona and the Western Mass Regional School Advisory Council to the Massachusetts Department of Education, and will be attending Middlebury College in the fall. Aiden Garcia.
Thank you, Principal Rob, Honor Guard. Thank you, Dalton American Legion, Post 155, Boy Scout Troop 4, the Nesicus Marching Band, and all of you for gathering here today. Last year, I appeared before you all and spoke for this Memorial Day ceremony. I asked you all to consider the sacrifices of our fallen soldiers, POWs, and MIAs. I urge you to remember their life, who they were at home, and what their service means to all of us. It means we are safe, secure, and have freedoms beyond that of other countries on earth. We have liberties that allow the United States to prosper. This is why I hope that you thought about our soldiers every day since then and continue to remember them. I hope that Memorial Day is a day to remember together, but every day is a day to remember privately. Because even if they are gone, they are not forgotten. As I spoke last year, I realized that even though I am perhaps the farthest from their sacrifice, I am in the youngest generation in a time when there are more wars in our past than ever before. But what is the most touching is that my generation benefits so much from their sacrifice. We have decades ahead of us of freedom, opportunity, and safety, and those qualities were provided by our service people's deployment before we were even born. This graduating class and the classes behind me have so many ways to be successful, all because members of our nation fought and died without ever speaking to us. We may choose any career, education, or place to live. We may speak freely, practice any religion, and vote for our representatives. And they willingly gave their lives for these things, for people that they would never meet. Why? Because it was the right thing to do. They wanted a future for our nation and the citizens who live here, so they took action to preserve it. We may never meet them, but they are not forgotten. Inherently, the commitment to the armed services is the most courageous act someone can willingly perform. They accept the fact that they are entering the chaos of battle to leave the peace at home. They enter the unpredictable violence to preserve the safety that they grew up in. Through months of training and working, they prepare their bodies and minds for something that would break so many others. They go through trials of hardship and planning to prepare themselves for the day they meet the enemy. It is without question that our service people are the most dedicated to the nation, giving their entire being to our beautiful home. In the words of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, in the truest sense, freedom cannot be bestowed, it must be achieved. And so many soldiers gave their lives to do just that. They achieve our freedom through their sacrifice. Those lives are what we honor today. That achievement is the highest commitment of bravery for those who prove their patriotism overseas. And that commitment will never be forgotten. And these people who do not make it home, many of them are young. They do not have the joy of waking up and having children, taking a second career, or paying off their house even. They cannot vote for the next president or so many other things we see as simple rites of passage. They do not live far past the day they get that diploma. By that time, they are nearing the end of their life, despite being in their top physical and mental health. But still, what can we learn from them is that they do not feel afraid. They do not feel overwhelmed by the burden they carry. They are eager to put their work into protecting American practices and values. They don't see their service as struggle or missing time at home. They certainly love American soil, but they don't just talk about our country, they truly embody it. They do not speak on patriotism, they physically prove it. The young people who give their lives for so many other young futures prove the ultimate definition of patriotism in the United States. The only people who may come close to understanding their trials and sacrifice are those who came close to it themselves. We have millions of veterans in this country, some of whom are here today. They walked in the parade you watched, and they live with us all over the nation. But for many of them, our country is not the same as their time before enlistment. For many of them, they lost everything but their life overseas. Some lose their closest friends and family. Some must look at old photographs to see the man they knew back in high school. Some lost limbs, and every day to keep the chaos of battle and daily tasks have become a challenge. And others may struggle with PTSD or other mental battles that they fight to this day. But all of them bear it with a smile on their face. Their struggles are a reminder of their time away, and they are also a reminder that they achieved our freedom. Our veterans are the closest ways to remember those who are no longer here. They know the violence of deployment. They know what our fallen soldiers went through in their final minutes of life. That is why our veterans are so important to us all today and every day. Whenever you can, I ask you once again, 1 year from last Memorial Day, discuss their service. Talk about what their time was like. Ask them who they knew that was no longer here with us. What were they like? In order to remember them and honor them in return, you must have these conversations. This is the duty we have to those we memorialize. And this is why I remind you that every day is Memorial Day. Every day you must remember them. Remember our fallen soldiers, POWs, and MIAs. Remember that you have so much potential and opportunity in the United States. Think about the places you can go, the things you can see, the people you may meet. They achieved these freedoms for all of us. Let your children dream big, make your voice heard, know your freedom, because these are all reminders of what they fought for, what they achieved. It is your duty to do one thing for them in return. Remember them. That is all they ask. It is your duty to make sure they are never forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Aiden. Our next student speaker today is Elena Iovino. Elena is the daughter of John and Jackie Iovino. She resides in Pittsfield along with her sister Olivia and brother Sam. She's a senior at Wacona and is a captain of both the softball and soccer teams at our school. She also is co-president of Best Buddies and a leader of our diversity and equity group, No Place for Hate. Elena will be attending the University of Notre Dame in the fall. Elena Iovino.
Thank you to Mr. Robb, Miss Grady, and everyone else who have given me the chance to speak here today. Thank you to everybody who has put on the ceremony, and thank you to all who are currently fighting and those who fought in our armed forces. And thank you, Aiden. Aiden has been a classmate of mine throughout middle and high school, and I admire his wisdom. In addition to the impressive speech he just shared, I am honored to share some of my own thoughts as well with you on this very special day of remembrance. Aiden advised you all to remember our veterans, those who fought in the American Revolution to gain our independence, those who fight today, and every veteran in between. I have spent 4 amazing years at Wauconah High School learning about the valor, dignity, and sacrificial behavior that our veterans have given in order to fight for our country and its freedom. I have read, studied, and taken the time to understand why the freedoms we live with today cannot be taken for granted, because our freedoms did not come easily, and they came at the expense of our fallen heroes. Bob Dylan said, "A hero is someone who understands the responsibility that comes with their freedom." Every man and woman who died in battle, 1,302,001 to be exact, are heroes. My Poppy Frank, who was a hero who fought in the Korean War, and so many others who fought, lived, and passed are heroes. The 2.86 million currently enlisted in our military today are heroes, and all those here today are heroes as well. However, we can be heroes too, according to Bob Dylan, because he said we have to understand the responsibility that comes with our freedom in order to be a hero. To me, this means consciously remembering our veterans each day. It is hard sometimes because from 2001 until 2024, about 7,000 have died in battle, which is significantly less than ever before. And although a huge world war is not on the face of every television screen, we cannot forget for 1 second or 1 day what our veterans did and do for us. Because if we forget, we will take advantage of our freedoms. Instead, we have to understand our freedom of speech and use it to speak out positively and change the world for the better. We have to understand our freedom of expression and accept everyone for who they are and who they want to be. We have to understand our democratic political system and not judge someone solely on their political ideation. We have to understand the equal protection we all have and treat every human equally on the basis of sex, race, and disability. We have to understand that our security gives us autonomy in our everyday lives to fulfill our interests, create families, love each other, help each other, travel, explore, learn, pray, eat, and so many other wonderful things. So I think it's the least that any of us could do here to be cognizant each day of all of our freedoms that our veterans have fought for and fight to uphold. And if we do that, we can all be heroes too. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. As we begin to conclude this ceremony, on behalf of all the families of veterans, I'd like to thank Commander Dassett for coordinating the placement of over 1,200 flags in our cemeteries. This was accomplished by members of Boy Scout Troop 4, Cub Scout Pack 42, placing 780 flags in the Fairview and East Main Street cemeteries, and the Craneville 4th grade students in Dawn Sickles and Christy Mallett's classes, placing 470 flags at Ashlot Cemetery as well. I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to do that. Thank you. We have some more special thank yous to acknowledge for helping to make today's ceremony happen. We would ask that you please hold your applause until the end, until the entire list has been read. First of all, thank you to our Memorial Day committee members Jim Harris, Bill Shabbat, Corey White, Ken Pease, and Chairman Bob Dassett. Thank you, Kathy Grady, for selecting our fabulous student speakers. Thank you, Dalton American Legion, Sons of the Legion, led by Jim Harris and crew, for putting flags out on Main Street. Thank you, Boy Scouts Troop 4 and Cub Scouts Pack 42, for placing the wreaths. Special thank you to Wauconah students Christopher Crocker and Zachary Kometz for carrying the town banner. Thank you, Dalton Police and Fire Departments, for your help with today's parade logistics. Special thanks to the Sheriff's Department Honor Guard led by Chief Sammons and Chief Dawley. Dalton Highway and Cemetery Departments, thank you for making our cemeteries continue to look so nice. Many thanks to State Senator Paul Mark, our entire Select Board, Town Manager Tom Hutchinson. Thank you, Dalton American Legion and American Legion Riders. Many thanks, Nessicus Band, under the direction of, for the last time, Andrew Garcia. Thank you, Dalton Youth and Wacona cheerleaders, and thank you to everyone that marched in our parade today. Thank you to all of you. Please note that following this ceremony, the Legion Firing Squad will pay tribute to veterans in Ashuelot, Fairview, and East Main Street cemeteries. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for coming. Please drive safe and enjoy the remainder of your Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. Commander Dassett has one more item to take care of.
First of all, before I get into the war dead, I have a poem here that it reflects and it really fits this occasion, so bear with me. The average American combat soldier is a mere 19 years old. He is short-haired, tight-muscled kid who under normal circumstances is considered by society to be half man, half boy. Not yet old enough to buy beer, but old enough to fight and die to defend his country and to protect the freedom of others around the world. He is a recent high school graduate, probably an average student. He played on one of his high school sports teams and drove a 10-year-old hand-me-down car. He had a steady girlfriend when he shipped out, and she either broke up with him when he left or swears she'd be waiting for him when he came home, halfway around the world. He listens to rock and roll, hip-hop, or country or blues, but knows well that the distinctive sounds of a howitzer, mortar, RPG, IED, and the cannons on the AC-130 gunship overhead. He's 10 or 15 pounds lighter than he was when he left home, though he eats as much as he can whenever he can. He has trouble spelling and is thankful for autocorrect when he's sending emails back home. He can field strip, clean, reassemble his rifle in minutes in the dark. He can recite the nomenclature of every part of a machine gun or grenade launcher without error, and he can use either one with great effectiveness. He digs foxholes and latrines and can apply first aid like a professional. He will march until he's told to stop and stop when he's told to march. He obeys orders without hesitation, but he is not without spirit of independence. He's highly self-sufficient, but he also thrives on teams and counts on his brothers and sisters in arms to keep him safe and alive. He sometimes forgets to brush his teeth, but never forgets to clean his rifle. He can cook his own meals, mend his own clothes, fix his own hurts. If you're thirsty, he'll share his water with you. If you're hungry, he'll share his MREs, and he'll gladly give you some of his ammo if you run low in a firefight. He will regularly do twice the work and draw half the pay of his civilian counterpart, while still finding ironic humor in it all. He has already seen more suffering and death than he should have in his short lifetime. Back home at the ball game, he feels every note of his national anthem vibrating through his body while standing at rigid attention. Stoically tempting the burning desire to square away those around him who haven't bothered to stand, remove their hats, or even stop talking. With more irony, he notes that his life is now dedicated to defending their right to show disrespect to his flag and his country. He asks nothing in return and accept our understanding of who he is and what he does for us. Remember him always, for he has earned our respect and admiration with his blood, sweat, and tears. To all who currently wear or even worn the uniform of the country, the United States of America, we salute you. And now I will be getting into the reading of our Dalton's War Dead. World War I, Benjamin F. Sullivan, George N. Smith, Raymond P. Nichols, Augustus Mazzante, Valentine A. Cormier, Joseph H. McCrae, Wyndham A. Allen. I'm sorry, I think I said World War II, but I'm not sure. But here's World War II. Frederick Bentley, Everett A. Carter, Elwyn Bogue, Anthony J. DeAngelis, Norman Norton, Al Farrell Jr., James Gallagher, Herbert Messenger, Charles H. Watkins Jr., Harry H. Rudd. Korean War, James B. Couch, Leon J. Stratton Jr. Vietnam War, Patrick J. Maraca, Michael J. Casey, Gary T. Benjamin. Spanish American, Harry W. Smith, Richard Dowling, Joseph Quill. Civil War, Alman Cady, Abram Biggood, Albert Griswold, Anthony Newton Jr., Charles A. Smith, Sadero Gloyd. Afghanistan, we have Sergeant Mitchell Dowling and Lieutenant Stephen Combs. And that concludes the reading of the war dead.
With that, thank you everybody for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.